Brandon Phillips, Ramon Hernandez behind the plate. Hannigan once again with Harang on the mound. That is your forward defensive alignment.
Well, you see the different numbers on Aaron Harang on the road and at home. He's 4-2 at home with a very good 2.7 earned run average, 1-4 with a 4.4 on the road. It's amazing that Aaron Harang, who is primarily in his early part of his career a fly ball pitcher, would have so much success here in a small ballpark like Great American. But he's learned to use that two-seam fastball, keep it down, get some ground balls. And as the weather heats up here in Cincinnati, that becomes more and more important to every pitcher that toe the rubber here at Great American.
Not many of the White Sox have faced Harang on a regular basis. Scott Podsednik, of course, played in Milwaukee as one. He's 5 for 19, 263 against him in his career. Podsednik will lead it off. And tied at third is Adam Rosales. Ramirez and Brzezinski due to follow. Well, the win last night, the White Sox against the Reds in the all-time series lead at 13-3. When the Reds won on Friday night, they ended a 9-game losing streak against the Chicago franchise. And they're trying to take 2 of 3 once again before they hit the road for their final interleague stretch at Toronto and at Cleveland. Here's the 0-2. Behind home plate this afternoon will be Wally Bell, the veteran umpire. Marty Foster's at first, Chad Fairchild at second, and the crew chief John Hirschbeck over at third base tonight. This one looped into left. That'll be a base hit. So Podsednik is on. And if you're going to steal a base in this lineup, it's at the top of the order. Podsednik and Ramirez each in double figures, and down deeper in the lineup, Chris Getz can also steal a base along with Brian Anderson.
Really a nice bit of hitting there by Scott Podsednik. He took exactly what Harang was giving him, pitch after pitch, low and away, trying to get him to bite off of a sinking fastball. And Podsednik got one up and just like laid it out there to left field.
Talk about a night. That's what Alexei had last night. 2 singles, a double, and a home run. His home run in the 6th gave the White Sox an 8-5 lead after they trailed 5-0. They came all the way back to take a 3-run lead, and then in the 8th inning, after the Reds have climbed back in it to trail by only 1, the White Sox scored 3 more, and they led it 10-7 on the run-scoring double by Ramirez. Ozzie lamenting the fact that, and he's talking about Harang and his motion. You can see the Reds pitched out on that first pitch, thinking that Podsednik might be going. Let's see if he'll be going later in this count. That's dribbled through. It'll go into right, a base hit.
Well, a bad break for the Reds right there, because Alexei Ramirez has not hit the ball to the right side of second base with any kind of consistency at all in this series. In fact, the scouting report says pitch him away, but he's still going to try to pull the ball. But he sees that opening on the right side of the infield, and he uses it perfectly. Even the very quick-footed Brandon Phillips can't get over there in time, and the Sox have got something going early.
And I think that's the basis, Chris, that you just mentioned. That's why Brandon Phillips was so close to second, because very seldom does Ramirez go that way, and he took advantage of the big hole. So first and second, still nobody out. Here's A.J. Brzezinski. He ripped his 7th homer of the season last night. Now in at .290 with the 7 homers and 17 knocked in. Phillips, Harrison, double play depth, middle of the infield. To the stretch. Brzezinski open stance now, digs in.
Well, he struggles against left-handers. One reason why we saw Ramon Castro the other night. But I'll tell you what, he hits very well against right-handers, and he loves to hit the low pitch. He golfed one out of here last night, a low slider nearly off his shoe tops from Johnny Cueto. Still, in all of your Aaron Harang, you're thinking about getting a ground ball double play. And that's a big thing for him, and really one of the bigger changes that he has made this year. Last year, overall, Harang threw a total of 12 ground ball double plays all year long. He's already had 6 this year. He's using that sinking fastball more and more. He needs a good one right here in a 2-0 count.
2 on, nobody out. Harang delivers. There's a bouncer. That'll go through into center field. Here comes Posednik around third. He'll score. And the White Sox get something they rarely get from number 12. That's a hit with a runner in scoring position. He came in today at only 190 with runners in scoring position, but he delivers here. And the White Sox lead it 1-0.
Well, they had the count in his favor, 2-0. And Harang, I guess, trying to get that ball down, turn it over a little bit, but he simply got it up. You saw the location of it, pretty much right down Broadway, waist high. And Pierzynski puts a good, solid swing on it and just takes it right back through the middle. Well, that's about a 1.5 feet higher than Harang really wanted that pitch, I think. And you want to roll over on it. Pierzynski takes advantage of what he should have.
Last night he homered on one at the bottom of the strike zone. He singles on one at the top of the strike zone here in the first inning. So right away the White Sox take a lead. Still nobody out, and here comes Paul Konerko. Konerko hit his 9th homer of the season in the first game of this series. Now 42 runs batted in. That's a bouncer. They'll give up the run but take 2 on the double play. So Ramirez scores to make it 2-0, but the Reds get the double play, and there's 2 away. Bases are clear.
The advantage of having a runner at third base and nobody out. Even a twin killing gets a run in. 2-0 White Sox, but the Reds at this point in the ball game will trade a couple of runs for a couple of outs.
Three straight singles set the stage for a 2-0 lead, and here comes Brian Anderson. Anderson in at 250, couple of homers and 2 knocked in. Before the game, Ozzie Guillen was saying it'll be good to get home from the road, but in reality this is a team, while they've had a 9-game in 10-day road trip, 21 of their 27 games, their last 27, have been played within 90 miles of Chicago. I mean, because they played the Cubs, they played Milwaukee, they played at home. So in reality, while they've been traveling, it hasn't been very far.
Well, there have been quite a few White Sox fans here. Not nearly as many as we see with Cubs when they come to town, but they travel well.
That's blooped into left, off the glove of Taveras. Going into second will be Anderson. Effort by Willie Taveras. He went a long way to get there. It clanks off the glove for a double for Anderson, the 4th hit of the inning.
I thought he had that ball, and when he came down and hit the ground, it must have just jarred it loose. He does go a long way for that ball. He got not a great jump on it. He kind of froze and stayed back a little bit, but just not able to come up with it.
So with 2 away, Anderson's in scoring position, and that'll bring up Chris Getz. This has been a big weekend for the rookies in this White Sox lineup. Last night, Gordon Beckham got his first career homer. And on Friday, Getz got his first career homer, a 2-run shot off Bronson Arroyo. He takes a 6-game hitting streak, a career high for him, to the plate today. The Reds rookie Ryan Hannigan's been one of the offensive leaders since he took over the starting catching jobs once Joey Votto went down. And Chris Getz, the same story. He's been off to a pretty good start. His average coming in is only 255, but he's been producing in the second base spot.
You know, George, the White Sox have the kind of lineup that, you know, whatever Chris Getz gives them from the second base slot is almost like icing on the cake. Because normally in the American League, they're playing Jim Thome. They've got Jermaine Dye in the lineup. and they've got a much better hitting ball club, so you don't rely necessarily on Getz, who's in the number 6 spot today, to be a big run producer.
Harang gets his first strikeout, but 3 straight singles set the stage for 2 runs. White Sox lead at 2-0 to the bottom of 1 we go. In the Reds as we go to the bottom of the 1st inning. Willie Taveras back at the leadoff spot. Jerry Hairston Jr. at short. Alex Gonzalez on the disabled list, probably be out for 4 to 6 weeks. He'll undergo surgery this week for bone chips in his right elbow. Brandon Phillips against American League teams over 300 on the year. He comes in at 283. Johnny Gomes, Ramon Hernandez, Jay Bruce, who homered last night, Ryan Hannigan, Rosales, and Harang. That's 1 through 9, your U.S. Bank starting lineup.
Now Mark Burley, the left-handed pitcher for the White Sox this afternoon. Big Burley, 6 feet 2 inches tall, 230 pounds. He is 39 games over 500 in his career. He's had a pretty good run of it for a 30-year-old, and they're wondering what has happened to him. He got off to a great start early in the year, but his last 7 starts has found himself 1-2 with an earned run average over 4. As you watch Burley work his way through the Reds lineup, you're going to see a fastball that is not overpowering. It'll be up around 90 miles an hour, but he really likes his changeup, and he uses it often, early, and it all counts against right-handers. Trying to get lots of ground balls out of it.
One of those guys, Chris, just like Aaron Harang, who works fast. He shows up for work every 5th day. He gives you a chance to win every 5th day, and a very quiet leader on his ball club.
Well, he's not afraid to pitch inside, George, and that's a statement that he makes quietly, as you say. He comes right inside, then goes back out with the changeup right there. Back-to-back successive pitches there, very impressive, but you're going to see those 2 back-to-back. Cutter in or slider in, changeup away to right-handers all afternoon. Even when you know it's coming, when you throw it in that spot, it's tough to negotiate.
Burley's for his career, the left-hander 128 and 89 and a very respectable 3.78. That's in the American League, where they have the designated hitter and they don't face the pitcher. So you get an ERA under 4, you're doing pretty good. Here's Jerry Hairston Jr. in at 242, 7 homers, 20 knocked in for Hairston. In his career, 4 for 19, 211 against Burley. Skied to right. Wise takes a roundabout route, but will haul it in, second out of the 1st inning. Here's your 4 defensive alignment for the White Sox. Boy, they kicked it around last night. 4 errors, but they still managed to win a ball game. It's Podsednik, Wise, and Wright. And the center fielder is Anderson. Beckham, Ramirez, Getz, and Konerko around the infield, and A.J. Brzezinski back behind the plate. That's your 4 defensive alignment. Here's Brandon when we last left him last night. He once again tweaked that right thumb that he had the hairline fracture of back in May. Left the game an inning early, said I'll be back tomorrow, and here he is back in the lineup. First pitch swinging, fly ball to left. Fitzednick there, he's got it. And a very quick 1-2-3 for Burley. To the second we go, 2-0 White Sox. Injury report reads like a storyline, doesn't it? Joey Votto has begun his rehab assignment at Dayton. Edwin Encarnacion beginning his rehab assignment at Louisville. Alex Gonzalez will be operated on Tuesday by Dr. Krimchek for bone chips in his right elbow. Edinson Volquez on the 15-day DL. He hopes to throw off a mound this coming week. And Mike Lincoln, they're just resting him, Chris, with a bulging disc in his neck.
Well, you know, you're missing the whole left side of the infield in Volca and Encarnacion and Gonzalez. You're missing your best hitter in Joey Votto, and of course you're missing your number 2 starter in Edinson Volquez. It's amazing the Reds are hanging in there where they are.
Here's Gordon Beckham. He homered last night. He bangs this one into the right center field alley, and he'll pick up a 2-base hit. So Beckham gets his 3rd double since coming up. And the young swinger showing why they have so many high hopes for him.
Well, he's got a nice, small, compact but powerful swing, and you know, if Harang starts hitting his spots, he's not going to give up balls hit like this all day long. You know, it's amazing, George. The last time Harang took the mound was that game where he was essentially rained out. He went out there and pitched a couple of innings, and he was just hitting his spots perfectly. Had great stuff. They weren't even having a sniff of him. Today, he's obviously does not have the same command, and the White Sox are taking advantage.
Harang from the stretch once again. He hasn't even got comfortable from his windup, so he's back at the stretch. And here comes Dwayne Wise, who's 2 for 5 in his career against Harang.
Always more important to be comfortable from your stretch, because that's when you need to make the most important pitches with runners on base.
You talk about first pitch strikes. Last time out, Harang was a strike throwing machine. He said he felt as good as he's felt at any time. But, you know, Chris, it's funny. Remember the old days we had Mark Portugal? We called him Rain Man.
Yeah.
I think he had 6 games he got rained out. That's the 4th game this year that has been affected by rain, and we're not even halfway through the season for Harang.
Well, you're right about that, George. And, you know, sometimes it's not how you pitch, it's when you pitch. But for Harang, he was so good last time. A lot of people like to say, oh, well, you know, they want to say that Aaron Harang, you know, make a reason for him having a bad start. But the fact is, pitchers don't go out there with the same stuff every time. Even the ace of the staff like Aaron Harang, sometimes you raise the bar of expectation a little bit too high. Yes, he's your number 1, but would he be a number 1 on, you know, the Boston Red Sox, you know, where you have some other guys who might be better. So, you know, there's no reason or rhyme as to why you have good stuff one time and bad stuff the next. Right now, it's one of these games where he's going to have to battle every inning.
0-2 to Wise. That goes over everything. The runner's going to go to third. If you're going to throw a wild pitch, that's about as wild as you'll see Harang throw one.
Well, I think that must have been a cross-up because it looked like Ryan Hannigan was looking for something other than a fastball right here. He's setting up inside, wants it low, and wow, it's like a runaway beer truck.
So nobody out, 1 and 2, runner at third. That'll force the Reds to bring the middle of the infield halfway and the 2 corners into the edge of the grass. Harang looked down at his hand after he delivered that pitch as if to indicate it might have slipped out. Some sweat, some perspiration, because it is hot and steamy in Cincinnati today. Here's the 1-2. And that got him. You talk about it, Chris, you don't always have your best stuff. Last time out, he threw 14 straight strikes to start a game. Here, he's been working out of the stretch since his first pitch.
Yeah, you know, and working out of the stretch is one thing, but not being able to make your pitches is completely something else. Here, this pitch is a breaking ball, and it looks like Dwayne Wise kind of sticks his knee in the way right there. It's a good move by a veteran who's been around a little bit, Dwayne Wise, a lot of minor league years, but he sees that breaking ball coming. He's behind in the count. He's trying to get on base. He's batting in the number 8 spot. And that's a little gamesmanship right there by the former Red.
Well, here's Burley. Burley comes in with a home run this year. 2 at-bats, 1 hit. That was a homer, so give him a .500 average for his career, 105.
He got that home run in his last start against the Milwaukee Brewers, where he hit 1 and gave up 3.
Speaking of 3, third wild pitch for Harang in this inning. Third hit batter of his season in this inning as well. A wild pitch following a double and a hit batter. It's first and third. Burley gets it down. The runner will go to second. Harang will just get the out at first. That tailed away, and a good job by Brandon Phillips to get a glove on it. So second and third, 1 out now. Back to the top of the order for Sednick.
You know, Brandon Phillips usually does an interesting thing when he comes over from the second base position and he covers first. Not so much on this one because the ball went down the third base line, but usually he stays off the bag to make sure that there's a good throwing lane with whoever fields that ball in front of home plate, and then at the last second he'll go over there and touch the bag. This time he goes on the bag, but you know, he's very aware of making a throwing lane. Harang taking his time, and that ball did sail on him.
The Reds finally get an out, and here comes Podsednik, who singled to start the rally in the first.
Well, when you're scuffling to throw strikes where you want them, when you throw a pitch that might be a strike and you don't get it, you're thinking out there, boy, I hope things can turn around here for me.
Battling to get it under control here early. Blows that one by Podsednik. And it's a ball and a strike. Aaron in at 5-6 on the season and an ERA just over 3.6. It's 2-1. Well, Podsednik is one of 4 on this roster that is hitting over 300 with runners in scoring position. This guy who just came up this past month has delivered at an over 300 clip. The best, Paul Konerko at 340. Ramirez at 302.
The first time up, it looked like Aaron Harang was trying to get Podsednik to bite at low sinking fastballs. Got one up, and Podsednik little punched it to left field. This time, though, he looks like he's going for a strikeout and trying to throw that 4-seamer high to see if he can get the left-handed hitter, who's normally a better low ball hitter, see if he can chase something up and out of the zone around letter high.
2-2.
Got him.
He got him this time. Big out. Second out of the inning. And now he's got to negotiate his way through the trickier Alexi Ramirez.
Well, he set him up with a couple of high pitches, and he comes downstairs with a nice slider, bounces it in the dirt. And boy, Ryan Hanigan does exactly what you should do fundamentally. Gets his whole body in front of it, make sure there's no daylight between the legs, and he keeps his torso forward so when that ball gets by him, he's able to grab it and tag the runner out. Good job.
Buried the pitch where he wanted it and got some help from his buddy behind the plate. So 2 away, and here's Ramirez, who's single. He dribbled one through on the right side. Just got it past Brandon Phillips first time up. And that's where you got to stay with him. You pitch him in and give him anything hard, Chris. He's got uncommon power. He'll turn on anything.
Well, he's up there guessing too. I mean, that swing right there shows me he's looking first pitch fastball and was badly fooled.
No balls, 1 strike. Moran gets a strike. Hanigan gets a foul tip right off the knee. He got the worst of that.
Now, Bronson Arroyo made Alexi Ramirez just look miserable at the plate by throwing a variety of off-speed curveballs and change-ups, and probably stay with it. That is if Brian Hanigan can stay in the ball game after that.
Steve Ballman out to check with him. Out comes Dusty Baker too. Hanigan got the worst of that foul tip. Trying to collect himself. Tough enough to catch, Chris, but with the heat, humidity, and with Ramon Hernandez playing most of the games down at first, it's been a long couple of weeks for him, and he took a punishment on that foul tip.
There's nothing but time that's going to make this feel better.
Wally Bell giving him every bit of time that he can to give him a chance to bounce back. Trying to buy every minute because, I mean, you know the story with Votto out, Ramon's down at first, Hanigan behind the plate. The Reds did call up Wilkin Castillo, who can catch, but right now Hanigan's been the best hitter that the Reds have in their lineup.
Well, he's also been the best receiver, George, and you know when you're playing your regular catcher at first base every day, you know you can't afford to lose him. And that guy right there knows exactly what Ryan Hanigan's going through right now. So does Wally Bell, the umpire, and everybody else who's donned some of the catching gear and gone behind the plate at one time or another. He's a gamer, boy. I'll tell you what, he is one gamer.
I mean, there's some guys that might have taken it to the house right there. Not that guy. Hanigan's going to take a couple of tosses to make sure he's okay. And he's going to stay in there, it looks like. This has been an unbelievable stretch for Dusty Baker. Every time he turns around, somebody else going down. Every time he turns around, he's got to come up with a makeshift lineup. In fact, from last night to today, one of the few times this year that he's had back-to-back lineups that have been the same. And certainly not the lineup that he penciled in back in April, but it's the same lineup. The no balls, 2 strikes with 2 outs. Down to third. It's a fair ball. Long throw by Rosales, and they get him by a half a step. So Hanigan will get a chance to take a breather as Rosales ends the inning. It's still 2-0 White Sox. weekend. For a dealer near you, visit buyatoyota.com. By JTM, food, family, and fun, that's JTM. And by Jeep, you talk, we listen, it's a new day. Have fun out there in your beep beep Jeep. Out in right center field, Chris, you need the misters on this weekend. It's hot, it's humid at Great American Ballpark on this Father's Day. We welcome you. Thanks for joining us. Thanks for spending some Father's Day time with us on this Civil Rights weekend. A memorable weekend for Reds fans and for the city of Cincinnati. Everybody around the ballpark before the game today reiterating the feeling of yesterday. Here's Johnny Gomes. That's a strike. 2 balls and 1 strike to Gomes, who comes in at 3-11 with 2 homers and 9 knocked in. For Johnny, last night in the 3rd, he clubbed a 2-run homer, and that gave the Reds a 5-0 lead. It looked like they were on their way to a big evening and a 5-0 lead behind Johnny Cueto. As it turned out, Cueto didn't last, and the Reds didn't win. Will be followed by Ramon Hernandez and Jay Bruce. That's a strike, 3-2. That's a fair ball into the corner. Gomes around first, heading for second. He'll pick up his 5th double. He'll take a big turn. He'll settle for 2. 5th double of the season for Johnny.
Well, he's in there for his offense, obviously, and Johnny Gomes provides it against left-handers. He is a tough guy to get out as a left-handed pitcher because he's got the kind of a swing that he has great plate coverage right there. And that ball's on the outer part of the plate, so he rips it down the third baseline. The breaking ball goes for a double. And Johnny Gomes has got the Reds getting something going here in the bottom of the 2nd inning. They're only down 2-0. It seems worse than that because Aaron Harang's been working out of trouble in each of the first couple of frames. They get one back right here, and it gives the whole team a little lift.
Talked about not many of these Reds have faced Burley on a regular basis. Gomes, of course, back in the American League has, and coming into today, he was 4 for 10. There's a number down to short. The runner will go to 3rd, and with nobody out, they get the runner to 3rd. So not a base hit, but a productive out for Ramon Hernandez. Runner at 3rd with 1 away. And don't forget, see this beautiful new Toyota Tundra out in left center. For Reds player hits the Tundra or the Tundra sign during today's game, Patricia Lee O'Neill of Rising Sun, Indiana, is going to win it. Register for your chance to win during an upcoming game at your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. White Sox leading 2-0. Will keep the infield back. Here comes Jay Bruce.
Well, Jay would love to run into the first fastball he sees from Mark Burley. Not likely he's going to get a hittable one right here. The scouting report is on Bruce, and he hits left-handers fastballs okay, but he really struggles against their breaking balls. And you see the numbers don't lie right there. Against left-handers, a 164 batter, 234 against righties. Both of them are not all that great, but he does have 17 bombs. And I think Frank Robinson really, you know, he said very concisely yesterday, George, with Jay Bruce at the plate, what Brooks Jacoby's been trying to tell Bruce all year long. You've got to stay in there, and you've got to try to hit the ball the other way. No more important time than when you're facing a left-hander whose breaking pitches go away from you. If you pull off the ball, you're not going to get the job done.
Brooks Jacoby, the Reds hitting instructor, and Frank Robinson said that to us on the air last night when he was sitting and reflecting on the weekend and reflecting on some of the great young hitters the Reds have. But he also was in the clubhouse talking to Jay. He spent some time with him in the corner of the clubhouse, away from everybody else, talking about what he's going through and how to handle it. There's a walk, and he held off a pitch, Chris, that maybe he would have swung at a couple of days ago. There's ball 4.
Well, that's a good at bat right there, and it's a major moral victory for Jay Bruce to be able to get on base versus Mark Burley, your runner on third base. Burley didn't want to give him anything that he could pop out of here, but he'll be looking for a double play ball from Ryan Hannigan. And I'll tell you one thing, Mark Burley is one of the more prolific ground ball pitchers in all of baseball. 34 ground ball double plays last year.
That's what he's looking for here, and the Reds are looking for a base hit to score a run. One out, runner at third. Here comes Hannigan at 328, a homer and 8 knocked in. Burley's had to learn how to survive in a homer-friendly ballpark in Chicago, and Aaron Harang has had to do the same here. Now, Chris, we talk about the discussion that Frank Robinson had with Jay Bruce, and I mean, you've been there. There are some hitting coaches or pitching coaches that don't like anybody and mess with their hitters or pitchers, and Brooke Jacoby is one who talked to Frank. He said, no, you talk to him, say anything you want to him. How can you not appreciate what a Hall of Famer can tell a hitter?
Well, he's got really no choice, because Dusty Baker is a former hitting coach and likes to input along the way as well. And you know, it's not like hitting coaches are really going to give contrasting information unless you're trying to do a makeover of a hitter or a pitcher. I mean, most coaches are saying the same thing. They're just using different words.
2 balls, 1 strike to Hannigan. Rosales on deck. His spike got caught a bit as he tried to dive back into the bag, and he just didn't get back there.
Well, he's not going, and he nearly got picked off. That's a credit to the good move that Mark Burley has. The only way he could get better is if the hitter swung.
Popped up into right center. Back is Getz. Here comes Wise. Wise will make the catch. No advance by the runner Gomes at third. So the Reds get a runner to third, then a walk, and now a fly ball out. They're down to 1 out left in the inning, and it's up to Rosales to try to get the run in.
Now, they had similar situations last night in the 5th inning, and then again in the 7th inning, where they had runners at third base and really unable to convert. These are the kind of opportunities that you get to the very end of the ball game, and you're down by 1 or 2, and you say, boy, we had an easy shot back there in the 2nd inning, just couldn't get it done.
Here's Adam at 207, a couple of homers and 12 knocked in. He's one of those Reds who struggled with runners in scoring position at 189 coming in. Gomes, Rosales, Phillips, and Hernandez are the only ones over 300 for the Reds that have been proficient with runners in scoring position this year. Ball and a strike.
Yeah, George, you made the comment a few days ago about, we always talk about batting averages with runners in scoring position, but equally and maybe more important and more able to handle the changes are pitchers and what they have with runners in scoring position. Mark Burley is among one of the best around there this year anyway in batting average against with runners in scoring position. With runners on is 207. With runners in scoring position, it's a 185 batting average. So this guy's really got the ability to get tough.
Nubbed into left. Here comes Pasetnik. Out goes Ramirez. Ramirez will haul it in. So the Reds get a leadoff double. Nothing to show for it. They still trail 2-0. Who've been hit during the initiative, raising $1.8 million for prostate cancer research. To donate, call 1-800-798-CURE or visit www.pcf.org. And for the Reds on this day, the co-chairman of the effort against prostate cancer, the Reds manager Dusty Baker, and the Reds second baseman Brandon Phillips. There's a bouncer to the right side. Hernandez has it. Brzezinski's retired. There's your first out of the third inning. And for Dusty Baker, Chris, it's not just another initiative to be a part of. Dusty Baker had a prostate cancer scare, and he's dealt with it. In fact, he's talked often about how he dealt with it and how the baseball family helped him. In particular, Joe Torre, who had prostate cancer. As soon as he got it, Joe Torre is one of the first to call him. They talked about different methods of treatment, different ways to deal with it, and it's all part of the family. And that family today battles to fight prostate cancer once again. One away. Here's Paul Konerko. Grounded into a double play that produced the second run in the first. In that first inning, Sednick, Ramirez, and Pierzynski each led off with base hits, the first three hitters. And Daddy Wags, Mark Wagner's back with us. He's punching the tabs on his computer, telling us it's the first time since September of 2005 against Philadelphia that the first three batters reach with base hits against Harang.
Only Daddy Wags would be able to come up with that stat.
That's our Father's Day present for today.
I like it.
He gave us a good one. Daddy Wags, you were in New York yesterday. You got a chance to see Citi Field. Thumbs up or thumbs down? Thumbs up. Thumbs up, Chris. We're going to like it when we get there, huh?
I wonder if we'll be able to touch anything metal in the booth if it happens to be raining.
The old booth.
Shay, you didn't want to touch anything in that stadium if it was raining.
There was that.
I'm not sure they ever grounded that place.
That's what our job was. We were the grounds. Strikeout number 3 for Harang, 2 away here in the third.
Aaron Harang being stubborn with his stuff. He's staying with the same pitches that are going to make him successful, make him better pitches now. So it appears that his lack of command was temporary, limited just to the first inning, a little bit into the second inning. This one, he's having a good run of it right through the middle of the White Sox order.
Here's Anderson. He doubled in the first. Order one of LaRosa's game time deals. Call 347-1111 or order online at larosas.com. Real flavor, real family recipes, real value from LaRosa's. Surprise Dad with a little pizza today. There are a lot of good deals. I mean, the food is great at LaRosa's to start with, but the game time deal, you can't beat that. That's a little low, but that's okay. Harang's where he usually is, down low in this inning.
Well, you got to be down low in this ballpark because too many cheap shots go out of here, especially when it's warm like it is today, humid, a little bit of breeze blowing out the left center field. It's amazing how the ball carries.
2-1. Sellout crowd yesterday. Good crowd on hand for Dad's Day today. And today, Chris, you did it with your dad, Dan. I did it with my dad. And we did it with our kids, too. You watch a game, whether it's on TV or sitting at a ballpark. You talk about the game. You talk about the individuals, the people involved. I mean, there's so many great traditions to baseball, but maybe one of the greatest is sitting there with your son or your daughter. That's how you learn the game of baseball. It's not something that you read out of a book. You watch it, you savor it, you draw it in, and you talk about it.
Well, it's the time spent together that's the important part, and baseball provides that great vehicle for doing that.
3-2, 2 away. He got him. Orang's back on the beam. 4 strikeouts for him, 2 here in the third. Reds need some runs. Orang will lead it off. Safe Auto. And when you watch the Best Sports Show period tomorrow night, they'll be talking about the U.S. Open. They may be talking about it all week. There's a bouncer down to third. Orang bounces out. Green again has played havoc with the U.S. Open on Long Island, and they're going to play around today. Chris, it looks like if everything goes okay, they'll play tomorrow too and try to get all 4 in finally.
Well, they will try to get all 4 in, George, and the prospect for the week, the weather is supposed to be a little bit better, but still in all, it looks like there's a lot of rain socked in there. And I may have mentioned this to you when we were in Washington, D.C., that I saw a meteorologist say that expect the same for the whole eastern seaboard all summer long, that this will be a summer without summer in New York because they got a lot of rain coming.
Gee,
I don't know how you can predict that early on, but he sounded like he knew what he was talking about.
I'm heading to Rhode Island the week after next. Give me a few days of sun anyways, huh? It's been the whole East Coast has had the storms that come around from the Midwest through to the east, and then all the ones that come up the coast too. In the winter it means snow, and the way it's been, they've had 21 of the last 27 days precipitation in the New York City area. I mean, even the tomato plants don't want that much rain.
All those alligators in the New York sewers probably say enough.
2 balls, 2 strikes to Taveras, who struck out in the first against Burley. Hop to the right side, it's out of play. Burley, native of Missouri, still lives in Missouri now. 30 years of age. Originally selected by the White Sox in 1998. Not a high round draft pick, a 38th round draft pick. He's paid dividends and signed a contract through 2011. That was a year before last. And you know, Kenny Williams, the general manager, has said it. If this team doesn't get better, quote unquote, I'll blow the team up. And you know, he said afterwards that we still think we can win. But if you're looking for somebody that can help your pitching staff, certainly this guy would be one guy that everybody would be drooling to get their hands on in a trade if the White Sox were to blow the whole thing up.
There's no question about that, George. This guy is one of the most quality starters in all the American League. But they're only 5 games out. They're 4 games under 500. They've got Detroit and Minnesota ahead of them. Every time I see Burley throw a ball in the inner part of the plate to Willie Taveras, it just keeps me thinking that he's eventually going to throw that changeup that struck Taveras out in the first inning, come back with it again. He's been pounding him inside, and eventually he's probably going to go outside with a changeup. Here it comes now. Anytime you get a right-handed hitter hooking the ball the way Taveras has on those cutters and those sliders inside, you know, he's telling you that he's not going to be able to handle that outside pitch. Can't handle the inside one that time either.
Or the inside one. Taveras strikes out for the second time. A 10-pitch at bat for Willie. He battled him tough, but he finally gets him in. 2 strikeouts for Burley. Going into play today, a peek at our Honda Central standings. The Honda scoreboard has the Reds now 3 games out, only 1 game over 500. The Cardinals, with their win and the Milwaukee loss, now a half game ahead of the Brewers. The Cubs 2.5 back after their 9th inning heroics the last couple of days. Underway right now. Milwaukee leads Detroit 1-0. They're in the 4th inning. Cardinals in Kansas City getting underway shortly. Reds, after today's game, have an off day tomorrow, and then they'll head to Toronto to take on the Blue Jays. The Blue Jays started off like a ball of fire. They were the surprise team in the American League. They hit the wall, and now they're just hanging in. They've still stayed 4 games over 500 at 37 and 33. 5 games back of Boston in the East. That's a liner into left, a base hit. This Father's Day weekend means a lot to a whole lot of people. Lance Nix and Jason Nix spending time together, and they reminisced about their dad, who's not in town today, gave them a time to spend together. And Jerry Hairston Jr., of course, his brother Scott plays for San Diego, and we've talked a lot about the 3 generations of Hairstons. What does Father's Day mean to Jerry Hairston Jr.?
Just being a kid with my dad and coming to the ballpark. You know, now I have a son of my own, and he comes to the ballpark. So the generation gap, and it's always cool to see the reaction on my son's face when he's at the ballpark.
Been kind of a whirlwind for him this past week, going to Kansas City to the Negro League Museum, being part of the Civil Rights Game festivities here. And you know, Chris, some guys get it, some guys don't. He gets it. He sees the big picture. He gets the history and the tradition of this game, and the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. His dad was the same way. Here's Brandon, a sky-high fly ball to right. It'll be caught by Wise, so the Reds get another base runner. Nothing to show for it. They still trail 2-0. home run. If you're a Reds fan, you probably remember it. It came in Philadelphia, and the Reds were in town. The watch for Ken Griffey Jr.'s 500th home run trekked him around the National League Central and then on to Philadelphia, Chris, and he never got it in Philadelphia. He wound up getting it in St. Louis, but it was a night that we'll never forget for Jim Thome. Dribbled in front of the plate. Getz trying to beat it out, but good job by Hannigan, and there's one away in the fourth.
Well, out in right field in the bleachers, you see Aaron's Aces section, and every so often Aaron Harang will, every Sunday only, he's hosting 30 fans in the Sun Deck section out there as part of his Aaron Aces program for families of military personnel. They receive the autographed T-shirt, in-stadium welcome. Of course, Joe Z will talk about him on the PA system here. They get a $10 concession voucher, and on days when he is not scheduled to pitch, he'll visit with all of them. So it's a great, one of the great, very many charities that Aaron Harang is involved in. He has become so involved in local community and charities. It's just amazing.
Here's Beckham, popped up into left. It's going to drop for a hit. He got a double his first time up, and he gets a single his second time up off the end of the bat. And when you're rolling it well, you're rolling it well.
Now that breaks a string of 7 in a row retired by Aaron Harang. A little bit off the end of the bat right there, ahead of it, looking for a fastball, got it, but he just kind of pulled it down the line, and that'll fall in no man's land.
It's a work in progress, Gordon Beckham, but Chris, I don't think there's any doubt just by watching him in this series, and I know I've had a chance to see him once before, and before this as an amateur. He's got baseball acumen. He's got baseball intelligence. He's just a ball player, and you figure he's going to get it.
Well, he's got a good short swing, and that's the first thing that you try. So many youngsters, even coming out of college, have long swings, and then they need to kind of re-gauge how they approach the hitting trade when they get to the professional ranks. But he's got a nice short swing. A lot fewer things go wrong when you've got a short swing than a long swing.
Here's Wise, hit by a pitch first time up.
And the very first thing that happens when you get to the major league, they test you to see if you can hit an inside fastball. I don't think there's any question that Beckham can do that, and he can do that right now. His adjustment will come when they start throwing more breaking balls, they dust him inside, then go away, and they pitch him more like a big league hitter.
Which is the story that Jay Bruce has gone through. He proved he could hit an inside fastball, and now they're giving him soft away, change-ups, breaking balls, especially from left-handers.
Well, he's a bigger guy, and he's got a bigger swing than Beckham does. Not to say that he's a better hitter than Jay Bruce is. Jay Bruce has tremendous power. But it's all a learning process. I mean, he's about the age of a youngster who ought to be a senior in college.
One ball, 2 strikes to Wise. Popped up. Is there going to be room? Giving chase. Rosales. He'll get there. 2 away. Rosales came a long way for that. He saw right away that Hannigan wasn't going to have a chance to get there, and I mean, he may struggle at the plate, but he'll never struggle giving effort.
Now this ball got enough hang time that somebody should be able to get there. I mean, that ball's way up there right there, and it's Rosales' ball all the way. In fact, I think Aaron Harang could have got there, and maybe even Hannigan too. Good thing they didn't all get there at the same time.
2 away, and here's Burley, who sacrificed successfully his first time up. Two. Yes, missing outside. Stays 1 ball, 2 strikes. Got him. 5 strikeouts for Harang. Reds need some runs. Back to work they go, trailing 2-0.
$7.10 with the Reds Senior Citizen Specials presented by Hill Here Better. Fans ages 60 and older can purchase selected non-premium tickets at half price in advance of game day only. For your tickets, call 513-381-REDS, 513-381-REDS, or go to reds.com. Reds Senior Citizen Special presented by Hill Here Better, and that's always a good time, George.
Senior Citizen Day. Sometimes it's dads, sometimes it's granddads at the ballpark today, Chris, but a special day for dads all across Reds country and across America. Happy Father's Day to everyone who's joining us for Reds baseball on this day. We thank you for joining us. Here's Johnny Gomes, who'll lead it off. Gomes had a leadoff double in the second, but the Reds never got him in. Ground ball got him to third. A walk and 2 fly balls into the inning. You know, Chris, we talk about so many moments, so many memories that you spend with your dad, whether it's at a baseball game or talking about baseball. And even yesterday, here's Gomes, a big swing and a fly ball to center. I mean, yesterday, the Civil Rights Day game and the luncheon at the Duke Energy Center and everything that surrounded it. But so often, the discussion went to the Civil Rights Movement, but it also went to families. It went to sharing. And that's what baseball gives that very few other sports do, the time to just sit and spend together. It's not just the game itself, it's the time that you spend sharing the game.
That's one of the messages, the main messages that Bill Cosby has made very public and forefront in everything that he has done outside the entertainment world, even in the entertainment world, stressing fatherhood. You know, take care of your kids, have a relationship with your children, and be a father. And even President Obama recently has touched on those same remarks. George, is coming up on Father's Day, and it's maybe the most important thing that you can do is take care of your children.
Dribbler down to third. Beckham has it. They get Hernandez by a step, 2 away. Aflac trivia answer for today. Let's go back in time. Everybody in Reds country had their eyes riveted on Ken Griffey Jr., who was looking for his 500th home run, but it was Jim Thome in Philadelphia who hit his 400th home run. We were there at Citizens Bank Park, and Jose Acevedo was the man who was on the mound. The 14th of June, 2004 at Citizens Bank Park. And earlier in this series, Jim was talking about that day, that memory. Remember, he had his whole family up in the booth, and
sure,
it was a pretty special time. Pretty special time. Special guy. When you talk about guys who get it, Jim Thome does. He is a great teammate. In one poll, he was voted as best teammate in baseball a couple of years ago. Here's Jay, walked his first time up. And one Father's Day, my wife Joanne gave me Bill Cosby's book entitled Fatherhood as a Father's Day present, and he's expanded that to make it a refrain that not only talks about the importance of fathers, but the responsibility of fathers and the responsibility of all of us to spend time with our kids, be honest with our kids, and sometimes be tough with our kids, which so often we forget about these days. Tough love is not something you just use for sports.
That's for sure.
By the way, a suggestion for you: if you live in the Cincinnati area, pick up today's edition of the Cincinnati Enquirer. Local sportscaster Mo Egger tells a tremendous story. There's a backhand catch. They'll get Bruce. A tremendous story about he and his dad. His dad Dennis passed away this past May. But get the Cincinnati Enquirer. Spend a moment to reflect with Mo Egger about sons and fathers. AT&T, the nation's fastest 3G network. AT&T, your world delivered. As Dostoevsky once said, the best of times and the worst of times. The worst of times for Aaron Harang came in the first. Those 3 straight singles and a double play ball gave the White Sox an early 2-0 lead. Since then, he's been pretty much on the beam, Chris. He's got 5 strikeouts since that first inning, and he's calmed things down. He's given up 6 hits all told. He trails 2-0, and here we go back to Podsednik, who started it all with a base hit to lead it off top of the first.
It really hasn't given up a hard hit ball, George. Even the mini rally that the White Sox tried to mount on him in the second inning, a leadoff double by Beckham, was kind of a bloop double, and then he hit Dwayne Wise with a breaking ball when he was ahead in the count. So all of a sudden it kind of snapped into gear.
1 ball, 1 strike. Sednick singled his first time up, struck out his second time up, leads it off here in the 5th. There are times, Chris, when this guy, number 22, can really dictate a game from the top of the order. He'll catch fire, and he'll be a key to anybody's offense. He was that way for the White Sox, especially the second half of 2005. You name it, he played great defense. Led off. There's a slap down to third. They better hustle. Not in time. It reminds you of Ichiro, the way he'll slap it. He takes a step up in the box, punches it the other way, and with his speed, he's a third of the way down the line already.
Yeah, you know what? And the key to it is not to hit the ball too hard. You see, not even a swing right there, just kind of a firm bunt just to get the ball in play. You've got the shortstop playing regular depth about the deep part of the infield, and he's got enough speed out of the left side of the batter's box. He's not as quick as Ichiro, but he can boot scoot it down the line and gets himself an infield hit. And that's a frustrating way to give up a knock if you're a pitcher.
Our Firestone leaderboard number for the afternoon as Harang tosses over to first. Best earned run average in the day in the National League. Giovanni Gallardo of Milwaukee under 1. Aaron Harang a little over 1. Harang in his daytime encounters has been outstanding. Kyle Loesch also on the top 5 list. Johnny Cueto been brilliant in daytime too. Because, you know, it's not odd that a Milwaukee pitcher pitching daytime in Miller Park is at the top of that list. Before the game today, I was talking to Ozzie Guillen, and we were talking about these two starters. He said these are two of his favorite pitchers because they show up every day, they never say boo, and they give you a good effort every day. And he was talking about, you know, his ballpark and this ballpark and how well Contreras pitched. But he said, you know, I'd like to pitch every day a daytime game in Milwaukee. That was the game that Contreras really was outstanding. You can't see the ball daytime.
It's a very difficult place to see, and it gets worse as the game goes on.
But Sednick off first, not going.
Of course, now, Georgia, we're on the longest day of the year today. I mean, you get a sunny day in Milwaukee, even if it's a night game, it's hard to see for the first several innings there, like it is here when it's sunny. Long days of the year, very difficult to see until you get about the 4th inning.
So actually, daytime goes into nighttime, is what you're saying.
Sometimes nighttime is daytime.
Center field, Taveras. 1 away. Not often they've gotten that guy out the last couple of days. 2 singles, a double, and a homer yesterday. And a single his first time up today, but the Reds take care of Ramirez here. 1 away. And here comes Brzezinski, who singled in a run in the first and bounced out to first in the 3rd. I think Dusty Baker and Ozzie Guillen, as well as Walt Jocketty, the general manager of the Reds, and Kenny Williams, the general manager of the White Sox, are both really in the same mode right now, survival mode. Find a way to survive, find a way to get to the All-Star break, see what you have, see if you can supplement to stay in the hunt, find a way to overcome the injuries, find a way to hang in there till September. These are 2 winnable divisions. No dominant team in either the National League Central or the American League Central. I mean, Paul Konerko's playing, his hand's not 100%. Jermaine Dye is not 100%. Carlos Quentin may be gone for the year. I mean, they keep saying he may be back, but the reality of it is I don't think Ozzie thinks he's going to be back. I think he thinks he's probably lost him for the year.
It's probably the best way to prepare yourself mentally, so that you don't come to the ballpark every day hoping to hear positive news.
And the same thing that we've been through too. And Dusty's had most of the bullets taken out of his revolver.
Well, the modest payroll teams are the ones that stand the most when they lose a couple of big players, because they usually don't have high-priced replacement players for them. You're calling somebody up from the minor leagues who may have had some experience or not, maybe over their head in the first time up here. And Dusty's trying to keep it together with baling wire right now. But as long as he gets the kind of pitching that this staff is capable of doing, they'll stay in the race. They just throw that many zeros up on the board. And again, it's another situation. They've got a makeshift lineup, and you go around the entire field here and you say what your projected lineup was supposed to be coming out of spring training to what Dusty Baker's running out there today. You're still in this ball game, down 2-0. And with the pitching staff they have, you can make an argument. Give me a couple of major league starters in your AAA team, and I'll keep it in the contention, because your pitching dictates where you go.
And both these teams have pretty good starting and bullpen pitching. I mean, the Reds really are starting right now 3 starters in their positions that you expected them to be at when opening day rolled around. That's it.
And 2 of them are somewhat unproductive offensively. Willie Taveras, Jay Bruce, and Brandon Phillips are the 3 you're talking about. As long as your starting rotation stays healthy and your bullpen continues to do the job, you've got a chance.
2 balls, 1 strike to Pierzynski. Biggest difference, there are a lot of similarities on the field and on the roster. The biggest difference, you mentioned the medium to small market team, and that's where the Reds are, but this is a White Sox team that has a payroll of around $100 million and the potential to add more. They thought they had a deal for Jake Peavy. As it turned out, a good thing they didn't make the deal, because Peavy had a bad ankle when they were talking about the deal coming, and he's now on the disabled list and will be out for a long period of time. Short hop, they'll go to first. Wise decision by Adam Rosales. The speedy Podsednik was already on his horse to second, so they'll take the out at first. 2 away, runner at second.
I'll tell you what, he's got a pretty good arm, Adam Rosales does. He can play him around the infield. He has enough arm right there to take his time, look at second, decide not to go there, and so gun it across the infield. Now, Pierzynski is no speed burner, obviously, going down the first baseline, but still, you've got to be able to get it there in no time, and he did.
The 2 away, and here comes Konerko. He grounded into a double play that played it a run. That was in the first, and he struck out in the third. Konerko's kind of going through what Brandon Phillips is going through, a right hand injury that he's taking cortisone shots for. Not 100%, and every once in a while it'll really flare up on him. But he's in there every day. Still productive at 289, 9 homers, 42 knocked in. When Konerko came to Cincinnati, they were drawing up pictures of the brand new ballpark when he was traded from LA to the Reds, and he was told at that time, we're going to have a new park. It's going to be a home run friendly park. He was never around long enough to be a part of it here, but he's in a park in Chicago that is conducive to the long ball too. 2 balls, no strikes. Sneaks that in for a strike, 2-1. Great speed at second in Podsednik with 2 away. Bounced over the mound. Phillips can't get a glove on it, and a run's going to score. Well, he had a little chance to throw out Konerko, but if he gets a glove on it, Podsednik would have stopped at third. So for Paul Konerko, that'll be RBI number 1,000 for his career, and he'll take it.
I don't know, is this the definition of small ball right here? You got Scott Podsednik half swinging the ball to the shortstop, beating it out, getting to second base, and then scoring on this overspin hopper up the middle. And you're right, if Phillips can just glove that ball, you're not going to send Podsednik from third. And the White Sox manufacture one.
That's usually a Reds kind of rally, but here in the inning, the White Sox play add-on with a ball that glances off the tip of the glove of Brandon, and it's 3-0. And for Konerko, second run batted into the series and number 1,000 for his career. Here's Anderson, who doubled and struck out 1 for 2. Be out of play down the right field line.
Well, he had very few pitch counts his last time out, something like, what, 34, 35 pitches in that rain-shortened game for Harang. He's got him up there today, but still not an issue in this ball game.
So Harang gets his 6th strikeout, but the White Sox play add-on and lead it 3-0. For violations of the seatbelt law, simply text true or false to 37664. You'll be entered to win a prize package featuring a barbecue grill, patio furniture, a flat screen HD TV from Fox Sports Ohio. For official rules and an alternate form of entry, go to foxsports.com/Ohio. There's Ryan Hannigan, fly to right first time up. The Reds went quietly 1-2-3 in the first, and in the second, Gomes on a 3-2 pitch led off with a double, went to third on a ground out by Ramon Hernandez. Then a walk to Jay Bruce put runners at first and third, but the Reds couldn't get a run in. Hannigan flied out and Rosales flied out to end the inning, so the Reds' frustration with runners in scoring position continued. guess, Chris, if you're going to write a prescription for pitching success at Great American Ballpark, and you were putting a staff together, number 56 might be on that staff.
Well, the fact that he gets so many ground balls, George, I mentioned earlier last year among the league leaders in all of baseball, actually 34 ground ball double plays, but that's not unusual for him. Year after year, he is among the leaders in that category. I mean, you got to go with him and an Aaron Cook, Brandon Webb, every other sinker ball style pitcher that you have out there, Derek Lowe, all those pitchers, that would normally keep the ball in the ballpark. Although Burley this year has given up 12 home runs, he still is a guy that gets a lot of grounders.
And he does what Aaron Harang and Bronson Arroyo already do for the Reds. He's usually one of the league leaders in innings pitched by the time the year wraps up. Hannigan bangs one into right center for a base hit, so he shows up every day.
Yeah, he does show up every day, and he works fast. And he's just like you said, the Ozzie Guillen described both he and Aaron Harang. Quiet workers that come every day.
Don't forget, you can catch all the excitement of Reds baseball in the Meyer family section at Great American Ballpark. No alcohol permitted and field level seating. It's the perfect place for your next family outing. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS or to go to Reds.com. By the way, speaking of the Reds family, we want to send a get well to Sam Torrey, who has been a cameraman with us for years, also works on the visiting crew very often. Sam a little bit under the weather yesterday. He's okay. He's home. And Sam, if you're watching, we look forward to seeing you back at the ballpark. We always kid him. Joe Torre's little brother, Sam. There's a ground ball to second. That's all they'll get. He's a good one, Chris. And as we've said, we got the best crew in baseball here. And people that come to Cincinnati also are fortunate, because not only the guys that we have on our crew, but the guys who work the road crew, they're fortunate to have some of the best in the business.
There's no question about that, George. We've got a real professional staff, although some guys will do just about anything it takes to get out of the teardown day. The day they've got to take all the cameras down, pull up all the cable, put it back in the truck so it can go on to its next destination. That's the day the crew hates, the last day of a homestand. And where's Sam today? Gonna miss it.
They got him, and they won't get him at first. Second base umpire Chad Fairchild said Ramirez kept his foot on the bag long enough for the out. Dusty Baker on the edge of his seat, ready to come out to argue. He won't.
I'll take another look at it. I think that they probably got it right out there at second. Yep. It just looked funny because it was a short hop ball handled perfectly by Ramirez. That's a great play by the White Sox shortstop. So Aaron Harang bunts that ball too close to the catcher, and Ramirez makes another marvelous play. This guy can flat out play some defense.
He has brilliant tools. I mean, quick feet, quick hands, a great arm, a quick bat. Will it all come together as a star? We don't know, but we know that he's got all the components thereof. Well, here's Taveras with Harang now at first. So the Reds, it looks like another promising inning with a leadoff hit. Ground out and a failed sacrifice attempt, and now there's two away and a runner at first as your pitcher.
When you've got a left-hander on the mound like Burley, it really stands to more reason for Willie Taveras to push bunt that ball to the right side, drop a little dookie drag on him, and all you've got to do is get it by the pitcher. He falls off a little bit towards third base. He's not one of these guys that really falls off out of balance. But you've got Konerko playing way deep at first base. On the other hand, you've got Beckham, the third baseman, really snug, trying to take away the bunt to the left side. And we really don't see Willie Taveras do that very often. I know that I've seen him out here early and working with Billy Hatcher on that push bunt to first base, but we really haven't seen him use that very much into a game. And that's a weapon that Norris Hopper used to use, and it was almost indefensible. I mean, you get it down in the right spot, and there's all sorts of confusion on the right side of the infield.
And the amazing thing is, I mean, Willie Taveras doesn't have to lay down a perfect bunt. He is so fast. If he just gets it on the grass, he's got a pretty good chance of beating it out. 2-2. Reds scored 5 in the first 3 innings last night, and then the offense pretty much shut down. And today, struggling to score runs again. Just missing outside. We'll go full 3-2. Beckham has it. Tavares retired, so are the Reds. Well, a leadoff hit, second time that's occurred, and the Reds can't score again. They still trail 3-0.
How many fathers do we have here? Look at it. This is huge. Is there anything better than father-son, father-daughter combination? How we doing, sir?
Good. How are you?
You got your daughter here?
Yes, I do. Two daughters and a son.
That is awesome. Big Father's Day present?
Yes, it is.
Let's get some more in here. We got some fathers in here. How we doing? Hello, sir. Happy Father's Day.
Thank you.
Here with your children?
Yes, sir.
All right. How many others we got up here? Say hi to everyone. Pull out and say hi from the family section. We got a lot of fathers up here, and happy Father's Day to everyone. And George Grant, is there any place better to spend Father's Day than at a baseball game?
That's a rhetorical question. You got it, JD. You got Fox Sports Ohio keychains for everybody out there?
No, we ran out of the keychains, and we spent money on the budget elsewhere.
Go into your special stash, JD.
We will. We'll get us some keychains out here. People are, tell you what, it's really hot out here, though. They got the sunscreen going out here, and
you get your little tan. We'll get you tanned up heading to Toronto.
What's a tan? Never heard of it.
Good job, buddy.
We'll see you later on.
Here's Harang back to work. Chris Getz leading it off as we go to the top of the 6th inning. Liner, Bruce back, reaching up, got it. Getz is 0 for 3, a strikeout, a ground out, and that line drive into right, one away. Here comes Beckham. When do you bring a young player up? I mean, that's a question that every general manager, every farm director has to answer for all their star players that are drafted high. This guy was a #1 draft pick. And with the injuries that the White Sox have had and looking for a little infusion, they're going with a couple of young players, and Gordon Beckham's one of them.
Well, Beckham's had a pretty good run of it. The first part of his major league career got off to a very slow start, but coming into this ball game, his last 20 at bats, he's batting .300. So you add to that the 2 base hits he's had today, and he's all of a sudden beginning to get it a little bit. Of course, it could be one of these situations where you're hitting in some good fortune, but some of the balls you hit that might be outs fall in there for base hits. We saw that with Jay Bruce when he first came up. But he's got a nice stroke, no question.
No balls, 2 strikes.
He's going to have to find another position, though, with Alexei Ramirez playing shortstop the way he does, very doubtful that Beckham is going to be able to hit well enough or play defense well enough to move him somewhere else.
As you say often, though, Chris, if you hit, they'll find a place for you. Huh?
Well, they will. They say that, and they will.
Swing and a miss. Got him on the outside corner. 7 strikeouts for Harang.
Well, he's a different hitter with a breaking ball than he is with a fastball. His home run came on a heater, and his double earlier came on a heater, and that's a good one. That's on the outside part of the plate. First time I saw that, I thought it was a cut fastball or even a slider going away from him. It could have been a cutter.
Well, you talked to Don Cooper and Ozzie Guillen. They saw Harang, of course, when he was in Oakland. And if you look at the video of Aaron Harang in his days in Oakland and look at it today, you think they're 2 different pitchers. Number one is, I mean, he's lost 30 pounds since then. Number two, his mechanics have been so refined. He's so tight, so compact now. He repeats his delivery.
Well, the toughest thing for a tall pitcher is to keep your mechanics in line. And the fewer mechanics you have, the easier it is to keep them in line. I mean, if you're a guy with arms and legs going every which way and you're 6 feet 8 inches tall, you're going to have your one great game where you're unhittable, and then you can have 5 starts where you really don't know where the ball is going to go. And that was the big challenge for Aaron Harang. That's one reason why it took Randy Johnson so long to get to the major leagues. I was with him in the minor league, or in spring training, George, when he first came up with the Expos, and he had a big wild delivery, and he still threw 100 miles an hour, but nobody wanted to get in the batter's box against him. And little by little, he realized that the fewer mechanics that you have, the less movement that you have that are unrelated to the actual throwing of the baseball, the better. And that's what Aaron Harang has done. Short arm swing, short stride, keep your head still, work the downward plane.
It works mentally, it works physically. KISS, keep it simple, stupid. Here's a pop up into center. Tavares will take care of it. And Harang has a 1-2-3. Reds need some runs. We're heading to the bottom of 6. Jerry Harrison Jr. grabs a bat when we return. A la Ichiro, one step out of the box, slaps at the ball. Perfect placement. He beats it out for an infield hit. Your Coors Light Freeze Can brought to you by Frost Brewed Coors Light. And you add it up at the end of a year. Bunt hits, infield hits. That can turn a 250 hitter into a 280 hitter. Or in Brett Butler's case, it turned a 280 hitter into a 300 hitter, huh?
Any way you can get on base, that's the key, especially if you're a speed guy.
Here's Jerry trying to bunt his way on, but Burley feels his position well. There's one away here in the 6th. Well, this has been a magical weekend for Jerry Harrison Jr. and the rest of the Reds family with the civil rights game yesterday and everything that surrounded it. And trying to put it in perspective, we sat down with Dusty Baker, and Dusty, of course, he grew up with Henry Aaron and knew the importance of leadership as Henry really took him under his wing. He's had the chance to meet Bill Cosby. He's had the chance to meet President Clinton, who spoke yesterday. And here's the way Dusty sums up what this weekend means.
Oh, yeah. I think it's a special weekend for not only Cincinnati in baseball, but for, you know, the world. I don't think I've ever seen this great a gathering of superstars. And I was looking down the list of the presenters from former President Clinton to Hank and Bill Cosby and, boy, Sugar Ray Leonard and Muhammad Ali and all the guys that are coming in. And, you know, to have it here in Cincinnati and while I'm here as a manager is very special to me, and I think very special to this city.
Reds manager Johnny B. Baker Jr., the Gillette Civil Rights game yesterday. There's a shot. That's a foul ball. Not by much. In fact, it looked like some chalk might have been coughed up, but right on it is John Hirschbeck. I think that was more just dirt. Foul by about 6 inches. And I asked Dusty, I said, put it all into one word, what's happening this weekend, and he said hope. And that really is true. There's a 4-hopper down to second. Getz has it. Phillips is retired. 2 outs here in the 6th inning. If you missed it yesterday on Fountain Square, Hairston, Phillips, and here at the ballpark, the Hammer Henry Aaron, Muhammad Ali, and Bill Cosby in his Homestead Grays uniform. And Dusty with a big smile on his face for good reason, as did a lot of people. Bud Selig, who has known Henry Aaron for 52 years, presented the honor to him. Sugar Ray Leonard presented the award, the Beacon of Award, to Muhammad Ali. And Bill Cosby honored by the great Bob Gibson, too. Special day, Chris, for everyone associated with baseball, the civil rights movement, and congratulations to everyone here in Cincinnati, to Major League Baseball, to people at the Underground Railroad Freedom Museum, to Bob Castellini, Phil Castellini, and everyone who worked so hard to pull it off. And to all our crew, too. I mean, I had a couple of calls this morning saying they couldn't get here, but they felt that they saw more of what transpired by watching the broadcast than they may have seen if they were here in town, thanks to the likes of Frank Robinson and Henry Aaron stopping in to talk with us about what this weekend has meant to them.
Yeah, it was an awesome experience, George. I just feel honored to have been here. I can't say I was really a part of it, except that, you know, we did the ball game last night, but just to be able to be there at the luncheon yesterday was just very humbling and an awesome experience overall.
Johnny Gomes 2 for 3, double to lead off the second, was left stranded after flying out. He has a 2-out base hit here in the 6th, and here comes Ramon. But Gomes, sometimes numbers lie, sometimes they don't. Johnny coming in was 4 for 10 against Burley. Inserted in the lineup today, he's 2 for 3. Scoreboard watching. Cardinals, who moved into first last night, are trailing Kansas City 4-3. They're now in the 3rd inning in Kansas City. Detroit leads Milwaukee 3-1. They're in the 7th inning at Comerica. Boston leads Atlanta 4-2 in the 5th. The Astros lead Minnesota 3-1 in the 4th. Those games that are underway. Ramon today bounced out twice. That's fouled on the left field line.
I'll tell you, George, the more I watch Mark Burley pitch, the more I'm so convinced that he is maybe one of the most underrated pitchers in all of baseball. I mean, he comes into this ball game today, 39 games, over 500 in his career. Every year he gives his ball club, you know, normally 220 innings, man, sometimes as many as 245 innings like he did back in 2004. He'll at least win you double digits. He's had as high as 19 victories in one season in his 3rd major league season, and I mean, he just doesn't miss a start normally. He just throws strikes. He works the plate inside, outside, and you know, you feel like you're on him, but you're bounding the ball into the dirt. And he just doesn't mess around. I mean, he doesn't pitch around hitters. He just goes right after them. And that doesn't mean throwing the ball down the middle as hard as you can. I think he's only thrown 90 miles an hour once in the afternoon.
Joe Torre, now the manager with the Dodgers, of course. One setter to Greg Maddux. There's a bouncer down to second. They'll get the final out of the inning. More to talk about when we return. Reds get a hit, nothing to show for it. Still trailing at 3-0. We're heading to the 7th. Gave up 3 straight hits in the first. A.J. Przinsky's last made it 1-0. Double play ball made it 2-0. Then Paul Konerko's base hit in the 5th made it 3-0. That's all the scoring. Meanwhile, Mark Burley's been outstanding, keeping the Reds off balance, striking out Willie Taveras a couple of times. Aaron Harang has struck out 7 of his own. And as usual, Chris, Harang having trouble getting run support. He trails at 3-0. Your Chrysler game summary.
Well, that's a common theme for Aaron Harang, is how to get more run support. And you know, he has averaged almost 4.5 runs a game this year. That's a high watermark for him over the last couple of years. But unfortunately, the way the pitching goes, oftentimes that run support average is blown out of proportion by one game in which your team scores, 10 or 12 runs on your behalf and then gets you 1 for the next 5 consecutive starts. And he has got a big 0 in that particular category today as he squares off against his counterpart.
Here's Burley, sacrifice bunt in the 2nd, and he struck out in the 4th. Bouncer right back to Harang. Aaron has it, and there's one away. Talking about Burley, Joe Torre often says, and here's a guy who was Hall of Fame caliber as a player. He'll be a Hall of Famer as a manager, but he said one of the keys to success in this game is being intense but not tense. Talking about Mark Burley, who he has watched over his career, he said, when you're not the power pitcher, it's so key to be tense. Not to be intense, rather, not be tense. And Burley's that way. I mean, he has to hit his corners. He has to make the strikes look like balls and the balls look like strikes. He does it and battles you every single time out.
I think the remarkable thing for me about Mark Burley, I mean, that's the biggest intangible right there, as to how to control yourself during a game. But he can probably throw a lot harder than he's throwing nowadays. I mean, his fastball is anywhere from 86 to 88, but he finds that is just enough, because he changes speeds, he can cut the ball in, he can turn it over, make it run away, and knowing what he has and how to get hitters out is his best asset. Instead of being one of these guys who's just reluctant to do anything except rear back and try to fire it as hard as he can and see what the radar gun comes up with.
Doesn't that sound a lot like Greg Maddux, who threw 91, 92 when he first came up in Chicago, but then found that he got more movement, better location at 88, 89, and he became one of the best pitchers of our generation.
I think you're looking at the same thing in Aaron Harang. I mean, Aaron Harang, when he first began to get it as a major league pitcher, or you talked about when he first came over from the Oakland A's, he could throw 93, 94 every other time out there. We knew that if Harang was throwing at 94 on the gun, he was going to have a great night. But on those days that he didn't get there, he'd get beat around a little bit. Now, you know, he works between 88 and 91, sometimes 92, and, you know, never really gives you the impression that he's rearing back and running to get the ball to the plate.
Hey, not everybody builds a mound in their backyard, tries to get better all winter, and Aaron Harang does. He did that when he had his old house. He's got it in his new house. There's a shot, line to left, right there. Battling a sinking liner is Johnny Gomes. 1, 2, 3 for Aaron Harang. How about some runs? He's saying to his teammates. Jay Bruce will lead it off, followed by Ryan Hannigan and Adam Rosales. But we'll keep it right here for God Bless America on the Civil Rights Weekend in Cincinnati. Let's go to the PA announcer, Joe Zierhusen.
Men and women. And welcome David Burtis of Delta Airlines as he leads us in the singing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Don't forget, on Saturday, July the 1st, first 30,000 fans in attendance receive a Jay Bruce bobblehead courtesy of the U.S. Army. This bobblehead, the second in a collectible set of 4 that combine to form a special Great American Ballpark backdrop. For tickets, call 381-REDS or go to reds.com. Here is Jay to lead it off as we go to the bottom of the 7th. A walk and a ground out for Bruce. He'll be followed by Hannigan and Rosales. Reds running out of time, running out of outs against Mark Burley. Cincinnati, no runs, 4 hits, 5 left. The White Sox, 3 runs, 8 hits, and 5 left. A bloop into left. It will drop in front of Podsednik. A base hit for Bruce. So Jay, on this homestand after the base hit today, is now 5 for 18 and a couple of home runs. He's showing signs of coming out of his funk. Don't forget, baseball's biggest stars go head-to-head for one spectacular night in the summer's biggest event as Fox brings you every thrilling moment of the 2009 MLB All-Star Game. Coverage begins Tuesday, July 14th, live from Busch in St. Louis at 8 o'clock only on Fox. Leadoff hitter on for the Reds. Here comes Hannigan, 1 for 2. Flied out to right. Leadoff hit in the 5th, but was left stranded. Well, Chris, it's pretty obvious that no Red is going to be elected to the All-Star Game this year. And Brandon Phillips and Joey Votto were the only two that were within striking distance. Phillips 5th among second basemen. Votto was 5th among first basemen before he went down and went on the disabled list. If you were to pick one player, and usually when you don't have someone elected, it becomes, I mean, you're at the tail end of the food chain. So they wait to see what do they need. You know, if they need a second baseman, it might be Brandon Phillips. And usually it ends up, if you need a pitcher, I mean, would it be Coco Cordero? Would it be Johnny Cueto? Who might it be in your estimation?
I think one of those two probably for certain, George. You know, I would be leaning at this point to Johnny Cueto. And of course, we've got some time yet to the All-Star break, and obviously it depends what Cueto does from here out, but he's had an All-Star type of a first half as far as I'm concerned. I wouldn't think that any manager out there wouldn't want that young man to come in and be able to throw one inning in an All-Star game. I mean, you know how good he can be when he gets a start. You tell him, hey, Johnny, just hold him for one. That'd be like child's play, I think, for Johnny, even against an All-Star lineup.
I think the way it'll unfold, I mean, since the Reds won't have somebody voted, every team has to have a representative. Once you get the obvious people, then those that are voted on, you look and see, what do we need? And if it is an infielder, if it is, it might be a catcher. If it's a catcher, if they're short on catchers, it could be this guy who's had a brilliant first half too. But in all likelihood, I think the Reds are probably pointing towards one of their pitchers, which also is the strength of this ball club, being the All-Star representative. 3 balls, 2 strikes to Hannigan. Short lead for Bruce down at first. Hopped up and to left. But Sednick there. 1 away.
Well, Mark Burley's been pretty efficient with his pitches on the afternoon, and you'd figure as much for a guy that throws as many strikes as he does. His high water mark on the afternoon was in the 2nd when he threw 22 pitches. Other than that, he has been right on line.
Batter Rosales with Harang due up next, and Michael Owings stepping in the on-deck circle. There's a bunt down to 3rd. They'll get the out, but a runner goes into 2nd. So the Reds will have a runner at 2nd with 2 outs, and Owings will hit for Aaron Harang. So Harang's day is done. He's allowed 3 runs on 8 hits. Nick Massett up and loosening in the bullpen, and here is a guy who helps himself on the mound, but also at the plate. A home run not only helped him win a game, but helped his team win a game the other day.
And not a perfect matchup for Micah Owings. You know that he's a lift and separate kind of hitter, meaning he steps in the bucket slightly and loves the whale, and he can turn on a fastball. But Mark Burley's become so adept at changing speeds, getting those right-handed hitters to try to hit his off-speed pitches, and if you try to pull it, you're going to make yourself an easy out.
He pulled it, but too far foul.
Hit it exactly the way Mark Burley designed it. That's a pretty good pinch hitting average right there. They say, George, I'm not particularly one that agrees with it, but they say pinch hitting is the toughest thing to do in baseball. If that's the case, 290 batting average, he's pretty doggone good.
Not bad, huh? No balls, 1 strike. Look out, there goes the bat.
That's the changeup.
You know, you talk to every great pinch hitter, and of course the Reds had the all-time pinch hitter here in Lenny Harris, and the idea is swing at the first thing straight and hard you see. Well, you might get one of those, and then you're going to see a lot of those.
Oh, the game on the line. I mean, the scouting report on Michael Owings has made the route. And they're not going to pump a fastball in here and just say, okay, young man, let's see how far you can hit it. for great tasting food and family fun, pick up JTM Philly kits, burgers, or delicious barbecue from your favorite grocer. JTM, food, family fun.
Get the JTM delivery for Father's Day out at the Ponderosa?
Wasn't there when I left.
They deliver on Father's Day?
I would think so. Family-owned business like that, know the importance of ensuring a good Father's Day at the Welsh household? Absolutely.
Debbie and the kids getting the big fire pit ready?
Oh, yeah. It's so cold out there now, George. We're going to huddle around it to stay warm this evening.
One ball, 2 strikes. Owens trying to hang in there. Reds love just a base hit to get a run in and dent Burley here. He got him. Way out in front of the changeup. Lead-off hit. Nothing to show for it in the 7th. White Sox still lead 3-0.
We've got you under our wing. And by your Cincinnati Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Visit mycincinnatihondadealer.com for current offers.
Shadows of Great American Ballpark. Joe Nuxall way. And on this Father's Day, we send our love and our thoughts and our affections to the Nuxall family. There wasn't a better dad or a better friend than Joe Nuxall, and he still lives with us every day here at the ballpark, at Great American Ballpark, because he was and always will be a great Red and a great American. Here's Nick Massett, who will take over for Aaron Harang. Harang will go 7 innings, allowed 8 hits and 3 runs. He did strike out 7. Pitched well, Chris. He deserved a better fate, but he had rat-a-tat-tat at the start of this ball game, and the Reds once again have not given him any run support.
Well, he gave up 3 consecutive base hits in the first inning, and that's really all the White Sox have needed right now, because they've been riding the strong shoulders of Mark Burley, their left-handed starters, throughout this ball game. He'll give way to Nick Massett, originally selected by the Texas Rangers back in 2000, and then he was traded over to the White Sox in a multiplayer deal that, along with John Danks, a left-handed pitcher, that was back in 2006. Pitched with the White Sox for a couple of years, or parts of, and of course came over here to the Reds in the Ken Griffey Jr. deal.
Fly ball to right. Back is Bruce at the wall. He'll haul it in. Well, Massett came on last night in a 5-5 ball game, and the first pitch he threw was hammered by Alexei Ramirez for his 8th home run. That made it 8-5, and the same thing almost happens right here.
Well, you know, he's getting the ball up over the last 3 or 4 outings, George. I don't know if it's fatigue or whether he's just going through one of those cycles where the ball's not coming out of his hand where he wants to, but that pitch pretty much right down Broadway. When he gets it down around the knees, I mean, he's got the ability to throw. We've seen him throw as hard as 97 miles an hour with some sink. You've got to get it down there.
And I think there was a little emotion involved there, too, because remember, Massett came over from the White Sox for Ken Griffey Jr., and while a lot of the players he was with are gone, still some friends, still some emotion when you face the team that traded you.
No question.
Here's Konerko. Double play ground ball, got a run into the first, struck out, and an infield hit, got another in. Backing up Rosales, the long throw, a bullet across the infield, and Konerko's retired. Nice play by Rosales, 2 away. Here comes Brian Anderson, and now it's time, Reds fans, to give you the answer to today's red, white, and blue barbecue giveaway driver safety question of the game, brought to you by the Ohio Department of Public Safety. True or false, in Ohio for 2008, there were more than 136,000 convictions for violations of the seatbelt law. The answer is, yep, it's true. Ohio is cracking down. If you're pulled over for an offense and are not wearing your seatbelt, you will get a ticket. Click it or ticket. That's a click it. That's a ticket. It's 1, 2, 3. Highlight reel for Adam Rosales. Now let's see if that can ignite the Reds. Stop. He robs Jay Bruce of a base hit, but hey, that young man has great athletic ability. You expect plays like that, and you also expect the hustle from Adam Rosales. You got to nominate this as an honorable mention, Chris. What a play.
It was a nice play right there. Rosales, after making the previous play way behind the third base bag with a long throw, this time goes in the shortstop hole. So, you know, George, this is big league baseball. I mean, you do expect to come to a big league game and see 2 or 3 of these type plays every time you come out there. And these are the kind of plays you don't see in the minor leagues, you don't see in independent ball, you don't see in college baseball. That's why you're watching the best play out there.
Here's Chris Dickerson. Dickerson will lead it off with a right-hander now in. He's got Linebrink in for the second time in the series. He'll face Dickerson in the leadoff spot. So the righty Linebrink against the lefty Dickerson in the leadoff spot, pinch hitting for Willie Taveras. Linebrink, 26 games and an ERA just over 2. That's going to go through into center field. So the Reds once again will get the leadoff hitter on. Second straight inning. And for the 4th time in this ball game, they get a leadoff base hit.
Well, Dickerson had a good night last night, even though he wasn't inserted into the lineup until the 6th inning. He had back-to-back base hits, one of them against Dotel, and a double, and then also a base hit with a stolen base later. So he's on for the 3rd consecutive time in a row in as many at-bats.
Here's Jerry Hairston Jr. Hairston flied out, singled, and bounced back to the pitcher. Big swing. Brandon Phillips on deck. Reds trying to do some business against one of the better bullpens in the American League. The Reds and the White Sox each have had outstanding bullpen work through the first third of the season. In fact, their two pitching staffs are very similar. The both pitching staffs rank in the top 5 of their leagues from starting pitching's perspective, and also the bullpens, it's a similar story.
Well, that said, George, I still take my chances against this White Sox bullpen compared to what Burley was dealing with.
Oh, yeah.
The Reds really didn't have a clue against Burley. Did not have very many good swings at all. And that's a credit to him and how he was really moving the ball in and out. So anytime you go to the bullpen, even when you have a good bullpen like Ozzie Guillen does at his disposal, there's still a certain percentage of unknown. You're not really sure what each guy's taking to the table when he comes out there.
There goes Dickerson, bounced wide of third, but foul.
Plus, the other thing is sometimes you simply just change the energy of the game when you go to the bullpen. You've got a guy out there like Burley who is mowing them up and down and just kind of mystifying the hitters, and then you get him out of there, and you know, sometimes your club's like, wow, thank you. I don't care who you bring in right now, but it will change the energy of this game a little bit, and Dickerson leads the inning off with a base hit.
Well, Ozzie Guillen's plan is to get through the 8th and then give it to Jenks in the 9th. Jenks picked up a save last night while giving up a home run to Bruce in the 9th inning. You got to figure that after what Dusty Baker had seen of Mark Burley, he's happy to see anybody else with a chance here in the 8th inning. By the way, on this Father's Day, Dusty Baker wants to say hi to his dad, Johnny B. Baker Sr., back in California. Speaking about families, Jerry Hairston Jr. taught a lot about the game of baseball from his dad. Jerry Sr., same thing with Dusty. I mean, a bull of a man, Johnny B. Baker Sr. It's always been great to see him over all these years. And he co-authored a book with Dusty about hitting. And really, when you say co-authored, because that's what he did about hitting. I mean, his dad knew as much about hitting as anybody else Dusty ever learned from. 2 balls, 2 strikes. There goes Dickerson. Bounce foul again, and we'll try it again. Doesn't get much straighter line than that, does it? Like a rocket shot out of the lead from first. Dickerson peers back over at Mark Berry, who rolls through signs for him. 2-2. Hop back, it'll be out of play. Dickerson on second straight days, pinch hit, second straight days, gotten a base hit off line brink. He did it in the 8th yesterday. Yesterday, line brink retired Harrison. He's trying to do it for the second straight day. That's down and away. Here comes the throw. He's going to be safe. Pitch just a little outside, so we go full 3-2, and Dickerson's in scoring position.
Well, we've chronicled the difficulties the White Sox have had in throwing out runners this year. They are the worst in baseball in that category, and really it's all about the pitcher on this pitching staff. These guys aren't given Pierzynski or Ramon Castro or previously Corky Miller even a shot. That run to the Sox right there doesn't mean a thing. All it does is keep the Reds out of a double play.
So it's full 3-2 for Hairston, with Brandon Phillips on deck. Getting on is what Harrison's trying to do, just bring the tying run to the plate, which is home run power behind him in Brandon Phillips. third time, just fouled down the third baseline. We'll try it again, 3-2.
Now really, it's a face-off right here. A fastball hitter versus fastball pitcher. Linebrink's got a nice heater that he can throw up around 93, 94 miles an hour. Jerry Harrison loves to feed off the high cheese himself.
He's given the Reds some great at-bats. This is one of them. Here's the 10th pitch of this at-bat. We'll go 11.
It's a good at-bat if you extend the pitcher's pitch count. It's a great at-bat if you extend the pitcher's pitch count and then deliver a base hit.
Even the humidity's gotten the best of Jerry's helmet. That glue will only last for so long. And you can see the ear flap starting to fall out as Harrison wipes the perspiration from his brow and puts the cap back on. 3-2 again. He worked at a walk. 11 pitches. Harrison gives you a great at bat. First and second. Nobody out. Here comes Brandon. Peers in for his sign. Phillips digs in. Brandon 2 for 8 in his career against this right-hander. He represents the tying run in a 3-0 ball game here in the 8th. We talked about it. The Reds have only 4 hitters that have hit over 300 with runners in scoring position. And when you talk about when it counts, 7th inning or later, Brandon's been outstanding. Over 300 and 4 homers. Phillips faced Linebrink last night and grounded out to end the 8th inning on a ground ball to second. And Linebrink stays away. Going to third will be Dickerson. He'll get there. Harrison hesitated a moment. Then it was too late to move up, so he stayed at first.
I got to figure, George, if Harrison really wants to steal second base with Linebrink now concentrating a lot more on Brandon Phillips. He's not slide stepping. He's just kind of big and deliberate towards the plate. Harrison's probably got the green light. If he wants to go, he'd probably make it.
1 ball, 1 strike. They'll throw over there.
You know, Brandon likes to hit the fastball. So if Linebrink's going to throw a breaking ball right here, oftentimes what they'll do is they'll throw over to first base first to try to chase the runner back a little bit, and then drop a breaking ball on him. Good pitch to run on.
A little bit bigger lead for Harrison. He's not going. That's up and in.
Check that. That was a high hitter.
95 worth of gas.
Linebrink is one of those pitchers that every time he puts a ball in his glove, he comes out with a fork ball or a splitter field. Then when he gets it, takes the sign, and he gets back in the glove, he repositions his fingers to go with the pitch.
Right field hit pretty good. Going back is wise. He'll have room at the warning track. He'll haul it in. It'll be a sacrifice fly for Phillips. The Reds are on the board. Brandon went where he wanted to, but just a little short. The sacrifice fly will get a run in, and the Reds are on the board. It's 3-1.
A little on the end of the bat. Now the unfortunate thing there is that if Jerry Harrison's able to get the second base previous to this pitch, he would end up on third right here. Brandon staying on it, just got under it a hair.
Now there comes Johnny Gomes. He will hit. It'll be the righty-righty matchup. Gomes doubled on a 3-2 pitch to lead off the second, was left stranded. Flied out in the 4th and singled with 2 outs in the 6th. Prior to this inning, that second inning was the best offensive opportunity the Reds had. A double by Gomes, a ground out got him to third. Bruce walked, but then a fly ball out by Hannigan and a fly ball out by Rosales into the inning. And Dusty's club really, other than a leadoff hit in the 5th, Hannigan never moved, and a 2-out hit by Gomes in the 6th, and another leadoff hit in the 7th. They have had very few offensive opportunities. Those, of course, against Mark Burley. They're doing some business here in the 8th with a base hit, a stolen base, a wild pitch, a walk, and the sacrifice fly. 1 ball, 1 strike to Johnny. Line ring. Originally selected by the Giants. That was back in the '97 draft. Made it to the major leagues with the Giants in 2000, then traded to Houston, and was an integral part of the Astros bullpen for 4 years before moving to San Diego. There goes Hairston, up and in. Did that get him? They got him on the forearm, so he's going down to first. Hairston had the base stolen anyways, but the good news for the Reds, they've got the tying runs on base with 1 out.
Now the second time in 2 batters, and Linebrink has gone up and in with a high heater. This guy not afraid to get in the kitchen a little bit. By a part of the plate, but that time it backfired now because that is the tying run in Johnny Gomes at first.
Don Cooper out to talk to Linebrink. Bobby Jenks had gotten up. He's standing around. He's the only one that's moved around in that bullpen. So if they need somebody for inning plus, Jenks is ready, and Thornton has gotten up, the left-hander, to join him, because now after Ramon Hernandez comes Bruce. So you figure if Ramon can prolong this inning, it'll be Thornton against Bruce. Here's Ramon, grounded out 3 times today in his career against Linebrink. He's 1 for 3. That 1 is a home run. Two on, 1 out. That's hit hard, but they're going to get a double play. Hairston had his pocket picked at second, wanting to score, but the ball's lined right at the shortstop. Ramirez turns it into 2. The Reds get 1, but still trail 3-1. Heather Beatty are the Reds finalists in People Magazine's All-Stars Among Us through June the 24th. You can vote for one by going to foxsports.com and clicking on the link for All-Stars Among Us. The winner from each major league city will be honored before the All-Star game on July the 14th, seen only on Fox. Thanks to these folks. Thanks to everybody who shares their lives with those who need it in their communities. Newport, Cincinnati, Alexandria, Virginia. Vote for All-Stars Among Us. Chris Dickerson stays in the game in center field. We go to the top of the 9th inning. Chris Getz will lead it off. The Reds got 1 back, trailed by 2, 3 runs, 8 hits for the White Sox, a run, 6 hits for Cincinnati. Nick Massett, who pitched the 8th, still in there as we're ready for the 9th inning. Getz today struck out, bounced out, lined out 0 for 3. Another good crowd on hand today, 32,786, 103,000 plus for the 3-game series on this Civil Rights Game weekend here at Great American Ballpark. Hope you've had a chance to be with us through the weekend to sample what has been a very special 3 days, highlighted of course by yesterday's festivities and thoughtful remembrance of the civil rights movement, and also dedicated forbearing of the future. And everyone yesterday from top to bottom, from the fans in the stands to President Bill Clinton, talked about the work that has to be done in baseball and in our country and in our world to make it a better place for all of us. No balls, 2 strikes. Popped up, it'll be out of play. Reds have seen a couple of fine young players on this White Sox roster coming to town. Gordon Beckham's hit his first career home run. That came yesterday. And this guy, fine young athlete too. No balls, 2 strikes. After today's game, off day tomorrow, then we travel to Toronto. We'll be on the air Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday with the Reds live at 6:30. Michael Owings against Scott Richmond Tuesday. Bronson Arroyo against Brad Mills on Wednesday. And Thursday, Johnny Cueto against Brian Talent. And we will not see Roy Halladay, who's placed on the disabled list.
That's a break for the Reds.
Yep.
And a break for anybody who misses Halladay.
Ground ball out. Commissioner Bud Selig was here yesterday for all the festivities. We got to catch up with him at the end of the day, and he was very impressed with everything that went on.
It was overwhelming, George. You sat there and watched it. Hank Aaron and I have been, as you know, close personal friends for 52 years, and I saw more emotion with Hank when we were standing up there, and I'd seen him a long time. And watching Bob Gibson introduce Bill Cosby, and of course Muhammad Ali, and just the tone of the whole day. This has been quite a day, and I'm proud of it, and I'm proud of baseball because this started as a very small event, and it has grown so remarkably in the last 3 years. But Cincinnati should be proud. The work of the Reds organization, Bob and Phil Castellini, have been just extraordinary. So it's been quite a day.
Can't say it any better than that. And Chris, the other part of this equation is that the Reds, of course, have not hosted an All-Star game since 1988. They certainly can pop their buttons over the way they handled this event, and certainly they're in the mix now to get in the rotation for an All-Star game to come back here.
Well, Phil Castellini clarified it a little bit, at least for me, George. I was really uncertain what was going into a bid for a city to try to land an All-Star game, and of course you run the whole gamut of everything that you possibly could concern the All-Star event, not just the game, but all the game, the days leading up to it and so on. And I think the Reds got high marks for the way they handled yesterday and this entire weekend. It could not have been better.
Did he go around? No, it'll be a full count, 3-2. Beckham doubled in the second, singled in the fourth, and struck out in the sixth. There is no other way to describe the Reds' work this weekend other than spectacular. The whole organization and the people here in Cincinnati have done a great job of making Cincinnati proud for the way they've handled everything surrounding this civil rights game. And the other part of this equation is, it'd be nice to host an All-Star game, but you hit on it yesterday, Chris. It'd be far more meaningful to everybody who's a Reds fan to be in a World Series first.
Yeah.
Here's Dwayne Wise hitting in the 8th spot. Wise hit by a pitch, popped up, flied out. Jim Thome wheeled in a bat, comes out in the on-deck circle with the pitcher's spot due up. There goes the runner. Here's a fly ball hit towards the alley. Dickerson going over. It's going to be one hop off the wall. Stopping at second. Now they're going to wave him. They've got a shot at the plate. Here comes the throw. It will not be in time. Now the walk comes back to haunt Nick Massett as Wise bangs one off the right center field wall. That'll score a run to make it 4-1.
Well, Dwayne Wise had a couple of hits against his former team last night. Today he hits this ball with a runner in motion all the way to the right center field wall. Beckham stopped at second base to see where the ball was instead of looking at his third base coach, Jeff Cox. But Cox decided to roll the dice right there and send Beckham anyway, and the relay was just a hair late in order to get him. Put his head down, looked around where the ball was. He goes, all right, is that going to be caught or not? And now he picks it back up and he turns around and ends up down there, and that is the 4th White Sox run, a 4-1 lead.
Out comes Dusty while the pitching change takes place. It's time for our Skyline Chili call to the bullpen. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
$68 million purse in the Mega Millions jackpot in the Ohio Lottery. You can't win if you don't play.
You get a ticket for Father's Day today?
I may have to pick one up. I haven't drawn yet. I have to pick one up on the way back home. Maybe 2. I'm feeling kind of lucky.
You're always lucky. Here's Daniel Ray Herrera who'll come in trying to keep it where it is. The Reds get a run but then give one up, so they're back to trailing by 3. Here comes Thome, and for the first time in this series he will not face Arthur Rhodes. Before the game today in the clubhouse, I walked by just to say goodbye and wish him good luck. He does not have a contract with the White Sox for next year, and they have not started to talk contract. And I said, well, you get 2 at-bats and you face a guy who has really been so tough with. He hits under 100 against Rhodes for his career. He said, I'm ready for him today. Maybe I'd like to face him a 3rd time, and that's Jim Thome, isn't it?
It really is. Likes the challenge. He's going to get a different kind of challenge, though, from Daniel Ray Herrera. He was challenged with fastballs and sliders from Arthur Rhodes, but Herrera gives you a little different stuff, and the shift looks like it'll work.
Hairston on the second base side of the bag takes a hard hit ball and turns it into a ground ball out. Thome hit it right on the button, but the shift against the left-handed swinging Thome works for the Reds. So the Reds dodged the bullet of Jim Thome in this series. He's 0 for 3. A runner goes to 3rd. That's your 2nd out of the inning, and back to the top of the order, Scott Podsednik. So the putout goes 6-3. But Sednick singled in the first. And if you joined us late, Aaron Harang started, gave up a single to Podsednik, a single to Ramirez, a single to Pierzynski. It was 1-0. Then a double play ball made it 2-0. So the first 3 batters greeted Harang with base hits. It became 3-0 in the 5th when Paul Konerko reached on an infield hit. The Reds closed the gap to 3-1 on the sacrifice fly by Brandon Phillips. And in this top of the 9th, the White Sox have added 1 to lead 4-1. But Sednick for the day, 2 for 4. They average at 320. But Sednick spent spring training in Colorado, was released at the end of spring training. The White Sox signed him, sent him down to AAA. And with the injuries they've had, they brought him back up. Carlos Quentin, of course, not playing. He may be out for the year. Jermaine Dye not playing today. He's been nursing an injury as well. That's a strike. 3-2. Hairston. Jerry's got it. That'll do it. Good job by Daniel Ray Herrera. Last roundup for the Reds, looking for some runs. Jay Bruce homered last night in the 9th to lead it off. Kicks off on Friday, July 3rd. For your tickets, call 513-381-REDS or visit reds.com. Last roundup for the Reds, and the Reds will have to do it against the closer for the White Sox. Hard-throwing Bobby Jenks, who got a save last night. He gave up a home run in the 9th inning to Jay Bruce. That came after he struck out Lance Nix and Ramon Hernandez, both looking. They're looking fastball. He beat them both with a breaking ball. Bruce then homered. Hannigan singled, but he got out of the inning, striking out Adam Rosales. So it'll be Jenks against the Reds here in the 9th, with Cincinnati trailing 4-1.
His curveball or breaking ball, whatever he calls it, was really the key yesterday, George. He had a great outing. All 3 strikeouts that Jenks got were looking, all of them on the breaking ball.
That was the first time Bruce had ever faced Jenks. So he's 1 for 1 and a homer against him. Leading it off here in the 9th. Reds need base runners, trailing by 3. Jay today walked his first time up, bounced to second, then singled the lead off to 7th. And was left stranded. You talked about Gordon Beckham and his process of growing up. He's in the early stages of what Jay Bruce had to go through first coming up, and now Jay's going through stage 2. They test you, and a lot of breaking balls, a lot of off-speed deliveries. He spent this weekend huddling with Reds Hall of Famer Frank Robinson, who made a visit to the Reds clubhouse. Just talked about the mental approach to hitting, talked about the ups and the downs and the roller coaster ride that every major leaguer has to go through. 2 balls, 1 strike. Got in on him, rolls it down to first. 1 away.
You know, because Jay Bruce is such a high prospect, and because they feel in the Reds organization he's got such a high ceiling, he's played every day. He's played against tough left-handers. He rarely gets a day off. You know, and you contrast that with the way that the Dusty Baker will use Chris Dickerson or Lance Nix. They won't play those guys against left-handed pitching, but Jay Bruce is in there every day, and you know sometimes that means you're going to take your lumps.
Talking to his hitting coach, Brooke Jacoby, after grounding out for the first out of the 9th. And here comes Hannigan. Every day you look at the scorecard when it's all over, he's on once or twice, on again today. There's a hard shot, a one-hopper to Getz. He's going to be retired. A 1-for-4 day for Hannigan. And with Rosales due up, Danny Richard just called up yesterday. Will come in to pinch hit. And all the changes made yesterday, you know, about Matt Maloney being sent back down and on the injury list. Alex Gonzalez placed on the disabled list with the bone chip in his right elbow. He'll undergo surgery this week. So Wilkin Castillo and Richard call back. Trying to keep the Reds alive with Lance Nix moving into the on-deck circle with the pitcher spot due up next. Hopper down to second, and that will do it. Jenks had trouble in the 9th yesterday, not today. He'll pick up a save, his second in 2 days. Ozzie Guillen will take 2 of 3 against the Reds in Cincinnati.